Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we will be talking about Kamala Harris's vice presidential selection and how, according to reporting from Reuters, it has been narrowed down to Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota and Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania. Now, this doesn't come as too much of a surprise, to be completely honest. These were the finalists. We knew it wouldn't be Buttigieg. We knew it wouldn't be Pritzker. Mark Kelly, Harris had indicated to Wall Street donors some days ago that she would be picking a governor, so I sort of ruled out Mark Kelly a few days ago. So that left Andy Beshear, Josh Shapiro, and Tim Walz. I absolutely think that out of these three, Andy Beshear would have been the weakest, so it does make sense, according to this Reuters reporter, that she has narrowed down her pick to Josh Shapiro and Tim Walz. Now, according to someone from inside the Harris camp, she actually hasn't made up her mind. Now, he said that publicly. I don't know if he's just saying that as a point of stop all this speculation. She doesn't even know yet herself. We can stop talking about this until tomorrow when she actually announces it. I don't know what he meant by that or if he was being completely honest, but regardless, it's either going to be Shapiro or Walz. At least that's what it's looking like, and people agree with that as well. When you look at the betting markets, this is a market where people can bet their own money on political events. This specific event, who will win the 2024 Democratic vice presidential nomination, we see the vast majority of shares are going to Josh Shapiro and Tim Walz, more than 100%. Tim Walz is at 40 cents right now, which is a 40% chance of being VP, and Josh Shapiro not too far up. He's at 61 cents per dollar. So, pretty narrow, especially when you consider the fact that, just this morning or yesterday even, Josh Shapiro was at something like 75%. He was way up. So Tim Walz has been able to narrow it for whatever reason. There are a couple reasons that we'll get to pretty soon. But, yeah, this is important stuff. Kamala Harris picking either Tim Walz and Josh Shapiro. Now, I have found this whole selection to be Kamala Harris's VP very interesting, very unique, really. One, because it just has such an enormous effect, I believe, on the electoral map. And on a similar note, there really hasn't been, quite a VP selection like this in recent history. I heard it was just 15 days ago that Joe Biden dropped out of the presidential race and Kamala Harris became a candidate. 15 days ago. That's like, it has felt like so much longer when it's really only been a little over 2 weeks. So the point is, Kamala Harris, her selection for vice president has just been completely simplified compared to average VP selections. Average meaning when the eventual nominee has to go through a primary season. They experience a competition within their own party, and they have to beat out their opponent. That completely kind of forms who they pick for VP. For example, a recent example, Donald Trump chose J.D. Vance for his running mate because of the outstanding performance he had in the Republican primary. He cruised to victory in the Republican primary, meaning the party was behind him, and what do you know, he chose a very MAGA, very Trump aligned, someone aligned with himself for VP, that being J.D. Vance. Or even in 2020, a very good example was when Joe Biden chose Kamala Harris to be his running mate. He wanted to prove that, he was modern. He wasn't stuck in the past with, because Kamala Harris criticized him for his position on busing in the past, being aligned with segregationist senators, and all that. So the primary really shapes who a nominee picks as their running mate, while this time around, it has not at all, because Kamala Harris was basically, she was just prompted to the nomination. She didn't have to do any sort of competition. No one ran against her. And that's probably a good thing, because, this selection has been so simple And ultimately, it just produces such solid candidates. I mean, none of these men, especially Tim Walz and Josh Shapiro, or, even Bashir, or maybe Buttigieg would, or Kelly or Pritzker, would hurt the ticket that much. So, the point is, this VP selection has come down to, who helps in the election. Who is going to help when you look at the electoral map? That is all important, the electoral map. So, that is really what it comes down to, because you've got Josh Shapiro, who is the incredibly popular governor of Pennsylvania. I think that Pennsylvania would easily be in their column. I think that Michigan would fall under the Democratic Party. I don't think that Kamala Harris will have too much trouble in Michigan and Pennsylvania if Josh Shapiro is on the ticket. Now, I also think that she would carry the state of Georgia. I believe that Josh Shapiro would, of course, Kamala Harris is going to do much better than Joe Biden with African American voters, being an African American woman herself. But I believe that Josh Shapiro, he will be campaigning across the country by himself. He is, he's like that. People would come out to hear him speak. I think if he is campaigning across these places, I could definitely see the, of course, prominent African American vote in a state like Georgia to quickly get behind Josh Shapiro, who's more moderate, rather than someone like Tim Walz. Just that contrast. There is a really deep contrast, I believe, between Tim Walz and Josh Shapiro. And I would really see, African Americans, Latino voters getting more quickly, at least, behind someone like Josh Shapiro than they would behind Tim Walz. So I believe that Georgia would fall under the Democratic column. I believe that Nevada would fall in the Democratic column. I don't think that Shapiro would be strong enough in the Rust Belt to help carry Wisconsin. I think that North Carolina is a little out of grabs, and I think that Arizona is a little out of grabs. Looking at all the polling, they are pretty far behind, at least in Arizona and North Carolina. So that would result in a Democratic victory. Now, if you have Tim Walz, that is a different story, because Josh Shapiro is someone who, one, locks down Pennsylvania, but really helps in an array of states across the country. The more Democratic swing states, Josh Shapiro, I believe, would really be able to run up those Democratic numbers to, produce wins in Nevada, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania. While Tim Walz, I don't really think would help that much in the Sun Belt. I don't think that Latino voters would really be very fond of Tim Walz, and especially African American voters. I don't see very much appeal to Tim Walz African American voters would have. That being said, I think that Rust Belt voters would get strongly behind him. Of course, he's the governor of Minnesota. He's got this very friendly Midwestern kind of vibe to him. He's got a tremendous record in Minnesota that he can run on, that would really help in these blue wall states, in these Rust Belt states. So while I don't think that the ticket would be able to carry Georgia, and probably not Nevada either, I believe that Tim Walz on the ticket, while Josh Shapiro would lose Wisconsin, I think that Tim Walz, being the VP nominee, would win the state of Wisconsin, giving Kamala Harris a victory of 270 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 268. You need 270 to win, so this is the smallest, margin that they could have while still winning. So the point is, the vice presidential selection, whether it's Tim Walz or Josh Shapiro, it matters so much because the electoral map changes. I will immediately be coming out with a new prediction tomorrow after she announced it. I don't know if I said this, but she is announcing her running mate selection tomorrow. So, that's so important. I mean, right after Trump chose J.D. Vance as his running mate, he was crushing Joe Biden at the time. Biden was still the presumptive Democratic nominee. I didn't even feel the need to make an updated prediction because really much hadn't changed. However, this map, because of how simplified this process has become, that's what I was talking about with the primary, how that shapes who the VP nominee is. Because this pick is so simplified, it changes the electoral map tremendously because it matters where they're from, what type of candidate they are. That would really shape the electoral map. So that's how each candidate affects the outcome of the election. Now, who will it actually be? I think that is what most people are wondering. So you've got Josh Shapiro, you've got Tim Walz. Tim Walz is much more progressive. Just a little background. He's much more progressive than Josh Shapiro. really on mostly the economic front. Also, Josh Shapiro, many progressives are strongly against him because of his position on Israel. He's much more pro-Israel than many other Democrats, as well as charter schools. And new coming out today, he was against COVID lockdowns and vaccine mandates and all that. So on all fronts, Josh Shapiro really does appear to be much more moderate than Tim Walz. So Tim Walz has really gained the support of the progressive wing of the party, while more moderate Democrats, more centrist Democrats, are supporting Josh Shapiro. So, who would better unify the party? I believe that it would be Tim Walz. I mean, he is just such a likable guy that I could see so many Democrats, independents, and, anti-Trump Republicans loving Tim Walz, while I really think that a lot of lefties would have serious problems with Josh Shapiro. But again, looking at who it will actually be, take this with a grain of salt or whatever you think its worth is. But the Minnesota Democratic Party basically says that they want Tim Walz to be VP. They say there's no T in Walz since everyone says Tim Waltz. It's really annoying, and the DFL also finds it annoying, I guess. But there is one in Vice President Walz. So whatever, I don't know. Maybe it means something, maybe not. But also, this is the more important point. So apparently, I'm not very techie, to be honest. But so I don't know exactly what this means. But there is this this KamalaHarris.com page, and this is what showed up on a VIP developer site. So I guess this is people like updating the website and stuff. Like, I don't know. To be completely honest, I don't know. If you know this stuff, please let me know in the comments and make an opinion of it. However, this is KamalaHarris.com and some VIP developer thing, and it says Harris Walz. There was not one found that said Harris Shapiro. All new logo, different from her current logo, of course. So, whatever. So, who do I think will be the VP pick? I believe that it will be Tim Walz. I think that Kamala Harris is placing a strong value on the controversy that has surrounded Josh Shapiro. I think that it is being, very much brought to her attention, and that she does have concern with that when it comes to uniting the party. So that's my prediction. I, of course, am not a Harris campaign insider, so again, take my opinion with a grain of salt as well. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know. Walz or Shapiro. Let me know. So thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe down below. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, and we are moving up fast. We got 1,000 subscribers in like a week and a half. We're at 4,000 now. So I think we can make it to 10,000 before the election. So again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.